Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a deliciously juicy chicken with some potatoes on the side. So the chicken is whole chicken and I'm going to be butterflying the chicken to make it flat. And the benefit of butterflying a chicken is that you have obviously flat chicken. It will cook quicker and it looks nicer, doesn't it? So let's get started with this. So I've turned the chicken onto its front and you see there the spine of the chicken. We want to take that off. So my equipment of choice today is scissors. This is much easier with scissors. And if you have nice sharp kitchen scissors, you will find this easier to do than I did because my scissors weren't very sharp. So all you want to do is just put the scissors right through the spine of the chicken and take that off. So the spine off, I put that aside and I'm going to use that to make some chicken stock for later, or you can just cook it and eat it. So the next stage, obviously the chicken isn't flat yet. So you see that little bridge there. You want to break that to flatten the chicken. So you can use a knife to break that bone and there you go, nice and flat. See how easy was that? So now what I'm doing is just trimming off the excess fat of the chicken, but that is obviously your choice, but I like to do that. Now what I want to do is make some space between the chicken skin and the chicken meat. You'll see why in a minute. So I'm using a spoon to do this. It's better if you use a spoon rather than, a knife or a fork or even your fingers, because the spoon it's really good. It prevents you from actually puncturing the skin. I only realized this recently. Good tip, good tip. Yeah, try and get into the corners, into the thighs if you can. Next up, the spice rub for the chicken. So I just added some suya spice rub there. This is completely optional. In fact, the entire spice rub is just your choice. Just use whatever you like using and however you like using it. I just added the herbs and spices that I usually use anyway, mostly garlic, ginger, thyme. You won't go wrong with those. Also, what I think is important and useful and is always good to do is to taste your seasoning. So as you just saw, I just tasted my mix and I decided on the amount of salty things that I was going to add based on how the rub tasted. So there I'm just adding some Maggi cubes. Again, I tasted it to check how much salt I wanted to add. Dry rub done, I move on and here I have a nice big lump of butter and then a mixture of ginger and garlic pureed or grated. I grated those. And then I added some dry parsley, and that is your choice as well. That's optional. You can add any type of herb or spice that you think would taste good in this. And by the way, the butter was just softened very briefly in the microwave, and then you want to mix all of that together with a fork. A fork works better than a spoon. Okay, that's done. I'll tell you later what we need the butter for. Put that aside, and I go ahead and turn on my oven to preheat it. I've washed my chicken in some water and vinegar, and I've let it drain, and I'm just patting it dry with some tissue. I want a nice dry chicken. I don't want excess water on this. Chicken bathed and dried, we're ready to moisturize it with some butter. So the purpose of the butter is to give it extra juiciness, that layer of fat. I'm going to put it right under the skin that we separated earlier, and that layer of fat is going to keep the chicken very, very moist and juicy. This is a bit of a messy job, but just try and get the butter as far into the chicken as you can, into the leg area if you can, and spread it nice and evenly. Okay, so the chicken's been moisturized with butter, and now it's going to be dressed in some spices. So you want to take the dry spice rub and just sprinkle it nicely onto the chicken and rub it in tenderly. Rub it in really tenderly so that the spices get really into the chicken. And onto the other side, be really generous with your spice rub because we want the chicken really, really flavorful. And definitely, like, I mean it when I say that, massage the spices into the chicken because that's what helps the flavor to get into the chicken. Definitely important. So the chicken nicely dressed with some spices, we're just going to accessorize the chicken with some slices of lemon and onions. So I just sprinkle or lay these onto the bottom of the chicken and lay the chicken flat on top of these. This will just help to kind of infuse and aromatize, if that's a word, the chicken. So the chicken's ready for the oven and it goes in for initially 15 minutes and then we'll come back to it. Moving on to the potatoes. So I am chopping up my potatoes and I want to dice them into cubes, nice cubes, obviously any shapes you want, but the cubes are cute, so I went for the cubes. And they're small enough to cook really quickly, so I would recommend that you cut them this small. Then I transferred my chopped potatoes into a plastic Ziploc bag or any bag of your choice, or no bag if you want, but this is a good tip to do what I'm about to do. So I'm adding some spices like I did to the chicken, but any spices that you want is good, but this makes the potatoes so delicious. And a touch of salt as well. And here is the key to making some nice crispy potatoes, some corn flour. So I add a nice couple of teaspoons, not teaspoons, big spoons of corn flour to the bag, and then all together, this is why a bag is a handy tool for this. I shake it, and it all coats the potatoes so nice and evenly, stress-free, mess-free. So now back to the chicken after it's been in the oven for about 15 minutes. And as you can see, it's looking glorious. and I am just basting it with some vegetable oil with some seasoning inside. Basting is when you cover the chicken with its own juices or some oil like I'm using here, and it really is essential in helping the chicken to stay moist and delicious. So this is an essential step. Okay, let's pause for a second. I'm sure you've noticed already because you're observant. I do have some tin foil right at the tip of the chicken wings, and the reason I did this was because I don't want the tips to burn in the oven because the chicken's in there for quite a long time. So another handy tip, cover the tip of the wings of the chicken in tin foil to prevent it from burning. Okay, let's continue. Oh, also, and coating the chicken in vegetable oil makes the skin super crispy. Now we're back with the potatoes, and I'm just brushing a pan with the leftover oil that I used for the chicken just to prevent sticking. And I pour in my potatoes, and I put little delicious cubes of butter in there just to moisturize the potatoes and to help it kind of fry and cook in a little bit of fat. And before they go in the oven, I just cover them with some tin foil, and this just allows them to steam cook and prevent burning before they have a chance to cook. Now they're just going to cook at the same time as the chicken. And we're back to the chicken. So this time the chicken has had time to release its own juices. So I am basting the chicken with its own juices this time. And back in the oven again for another 15 minutes, and we'll come back. Okay, I'm not going to show you when we do come back, but altogether I did go back to that chicken 2 more times. So therefore the chicken was in the oven for a total of about 1 hour. Halfway through the potatoes cooking, I decided to come back and shake it about a little, just to disperse the butter more evenly through the potatoes, and back in. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes since the potatoes have been in the oven, and I take them out at this point and remove the tin foil. Yes, it's hot. By this time, they are basically almost done, so I put them back into the oven uncovered for them to crisp up. At around the same time, the chicken is done. Look at that. Do you not want to rip that chicken apart right now? But don't do that. Let it rest. It's important to let the chicken rest when it comes out of the oven. So I cover it with tin foil and let it just sit in its own juices for at least about 15 minutes, and that helps to keep the chicken moist. And here I have the potatoes. I've just brought them out to stir them about a little bit, and then I'll put them back in the oven to crisp up a bit more, but use your discretion on this. Now to enjoy the fruits of your labor. The potatoes are nice and crispy on the outside and soft and fluffy on the inside, and the chicken is just juicy and delicious. I know you'll be proud to make this meal, so really give it a try. It's worth every second, and it's not even difficult to make. Oh my gosh, let me know if you try this. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and leave comments to let me know whether you've made it, how it went. Thank you. Bye.